wearing US equipment, entering the airport. They've obviously got their US-issued guns. They're inspecting American planes. This is a total humiliation, Kate, isn't it, really?
It's frightening, yeah. And we're in a situation now where, as I've just been watching this morning, the Taliban now, they're in charge. So we have to now interact with them as though they're some sort of legitimate government. And I find that very disquieting, this kind of, and now, like, we're going to have a conversation with people who are part of the Taliban. And this... Yeah, and this ongoing conversation about should we be more aggressive militarily or should we somehow step back, as though those are the only two options, as though there isn't another option, which is about supporting people who are actually there and so much talk about translators and about people who've helped the British military and the international military there, and I think not nearly enough discussion about women's rights and what's going on for women in Afghanistan now and what the future holds for them, because it's a really frightening thing to think about, and all the more reason why we should.
It comes as the US President Joe Biden praised the evacuation. We can have a look at him now.
We succeeded in what we set out to do in Afghanistan over a decade ago. Then we stayed for another decade. It was time to end this war.
Your latest column in the Express says you think he might be senile.
Well, I think he is.
Really?
And for anybody to present that gross humiliation, you've used the right word, as a triumph, is insane. He came out at huge speed with no proper preparation. I do actually think that we should be talking about the translators because their lives are in danger.
And the lives of women in Afghanistan.
And their lives are in danger.
Like women in Afghanistan.
Because they helped us. And therefore, I think we should be giving them priority. I also think our own government does not come out of this particularly well. It's all very well to say, we made all these tremendous efforts to get the translators out. Yeah, we did, at the last minute. I raised this in the Express 6 years ago. What were we doing for the translators?
But ultimately, we didn't succeed in getting all the translators
Sorry,
out.
I didn't interrupt you. Will you just let me finish this?
Go on.
Yeah. 6 years ago, and we tried to do the whole thing in the last few weeks. Now, that, to my mind, is also a disgrace.
And that's exactly my point, Anne, is that because we had this last-minute scramble, we were forced to pick priorities and go, we'll save a few translators, we'll help a few of these people. But in fact, the number of people who are going to be impacted by allowing the Taliban to take back control of Afghanistan is much, much, much larger than that. And because it's all been so last minute, it hasn't been possible to help the right number of people. And the right number of people, yes, is the translators, and yes, is various other groups, but is also the women of Afghanistan and all of these other groups. And we should have had a much more, in-depth operation, and it should be ongoing, and we should be doing more now.
Should have
and
started
accepting
years
a lot
ago.
more.
Well, maybe the answer is
we
shouldn't have left then. Fundamentally, that's
well, we shouldn't have left
in
this sort of hurry. We shouldn't have left. But if we had started years ago, and I don't speak in hindsight, as I say, I was writing about this years ago. If we'd started years ago, we would have had an orderly resettlement. People wouldn't have been leaving with only the clothes they stood up in. They could have brought a few suitcases.
But Kate's not talking about people leaving. She's talking about the women of Afghanistan who are in danger because we left.
Yeah,
well, that's true, but I think also we should be helping them to leave if they want to. I don't think we should be abandoning people at all.
Look, we can't take absolutely everybody. All countries have been applying priorities. My problem is the sheer scramble that it's been done in means that we have actually abandoned people to the Taliban. And should we be talking to the Taliban? Well, frankly, if we want to help any of those people, we've no choice but to talk to the Taliban.
I saw a story saying I think it was the Afghan National Orchestra, and if you saw this, firstly, the Taliban ban music, right? So you're not allowed to be an orchestra. Yeah. They then come in and smash the instruments, and then a country offers the orchestra sanctuary, but they can't get through to the airport because they haven't got the paperwork. Now, the question is whether we say to the Afghan orchestra, we'll take you, or whether actually Afghanistan needs an orchestra, because once you take them, the Taliban have won everything. because they want a country without music.
But if they can't actually play,
right?
Then saying whether we take them or not isn't really.
It seems a bit brutal taking an orchestra from a country that hasn't
But if
got
they're
any
not going to be
music.
able to play anyway, leaving them in the country achieves what?
I mean, I don't quite get this idea of like, well, you know, does the country need an orchestra? I mean, it's not about the orchestra; it's about these people and their lives, and that we should be protecting people's lives. And you know, regardless of whether those people play the oboe or not, that's a secondary concern. You know,
All right.
Are these people's lives in danger? Yes, they are. Should we be helping them? Yes, of course.
Okay.